So in this video, we're going to go over the performance exam review for Mock 8, okay? So what we're going to do first is we're going to find the inverse of 1/8 you see, and then for D, we're actually going to solve for M, okay? So remember, the first thing we're going to do anytime we're solving for inverses is swap our x and y, right? Remember, f of x is y, so you could put a y right here and then just swap it as x. X equals 2y plus 4 divided by 6. So how we get rid of that 6, it's in the denominators by multiplying both sides by 6. So that's going to be 6x. So now that's gone from there. So now we have 6x equals just our 2y plus our 4. So now we're going to subtract 4 from both sides. So that's going to give us 6x minus 4 is equal to 2y. So 6x minus 4 is equal to 2y. Something happened, y'all. So, okay, so then we're going to divide both sides by 2 here, right? So that's going to give us our inverse function is going to be the 6x minus 4 divided by the 2. So that's our answer for that one. All right, again, remember, we're swapping our y and our x, right? So that's y. This is x is equal to our y plus 2 cubed minus 2. So we're going to add 2 to both sides. So it gives us x plus 2 is equal to y plus 2 cubed, right? Now, how do we get rid of a cube? Don't we take the cube root of it? So that's what we're going to do here and over here, okay? So this cancels out that, so we're left with the cube root of x plus 2 is equal to y plus 2. So then our last step is going to be to subtract the 2 from both sides. So our answer is going to be f to the negative 1 of x is going to be equal to the cube root of x plus 2 minus 2. That's our answer right there, okay? So, C, again, remember we're swapping x and y, so this is our y. So we're going to change that into an x, and then we're going to do the 5th root of 4y plus 1. Going to subtract 1 from both sides, so that's going to be x minus 1 equals the 5th root of 4y. So again, if we have a root, we're going to take it to the 5th power to get rid of it, right? So we're going to do this on both sides. So it's going to be x minus 1 to the 5th power is equal to 4y. And obviously, to get rid of the 4 that's being multiplied by the y, we have to divide by 4. So that's what we're going to do next. So here we go. Our f to the negative 1 of x here is going to be equal to our x minus 1 to the 5th power, all divided by 4. Now, this last one said to solve for m, okay? So what I'm going to do is rewrite it first. S is equal to the cube root of m over p. So to get rid of that cube root, we're going to have to cube both sides, right? So when we do that, we get s to the 3rd equals, these cancel each other out, m over p. And the way we get rid of something is in the denominator, because we're trying to solve for m, is multiply both sides by p, right? So that's going to be s to the 3rd p is equal to m. And that was our solution there. All right, for these next ones, it says, answer the following questions, explain your reasoning in a complete sentence. So it asks us if these are inverses of each other. So the easiest way for me to find this is to basically solve for the inverse. So remember, again, this is y. So we're going to say x equals 1/3 y plus 2/3. So we're going to subtract the 2/3 from both sides. So that's going to give us x minus 2/3 equals 1/3 y. Now to get rid of that 1/3, we have to multiply by its reciprocal. That's 3. So we're going to multiply both sides by 3. So that's going to give us 3x minus 2 equals, again, that's going to be our inverse right there. So f to the negative 1 of x. F to the negative 1 of x. So is that what we have up here? 3x minus 2 it is. See that right there in that? Those are the same. So now we have to go the opposite direction as well. So now, again, this time we're going to swap the x and y like we did a minute ago. So we're going to say x, maybe if I can get my pen to work, x equals our 3y minus 2. So we're going to add 2 to both sides. So that's going to be x plus 2 equals 3y. And then we're going to divide both by 3. So that's going to give us f to the negative 1 of x. And this is a 1 in front of here, so this is still 1/3 x, and then this right here is 2/3, right? Plus 2/3. So that is the inverse of this, right? So they are the same as well. So what would we write then? That is the question. So I would write that the inverse of f of x equals f of negative 1 of x, which is the inverse, and the inverse of f to the negative 1 of x equals f of x. Thus, they are inverses. Okay? And there's the thus, the functions. Oops, didn't spell it right. Let me put a t there. The functions are inverses. Okay? All right, let's do the next one down here. So this one, again, we're going to just solve for the inverses, and then we're going to see if they are equal to each other. So that's our y again. So we're going to put an x there. So x equals the cube root of y minus 3 plus 2. So we're going to have to subtract 2 from both sides. So that's going to be x minus 2 is equal to the cube root of y minus 3. So to get rid of a cube root, remember again, we're going to cube both sides. That's supposed to be a 3, y'all. And over here, same thing, 3. So now those two cancel each other out. So we have our x minus 2 cubed is equal to y minus 3. So we are going to have to add 3 to both sides, aren't we? Add 3 to this, add 3 to this. So our f to the negative 1 of x is going to be equal to x minus 2 cubed plus 3. Is that what we have there? Essentially, yes. It's just written in a different order. So this one checks out with that one right there. Okay, now let's do the other side. So now we're going to do the same thing, and we're going to put our y here. So we're going to say x equals 3 plus x minus 2 cubed. So this time we're going to subtract that 3 first, right? Subtract 3 from both sides. So I'm going to go minus 3 here because that's going to cancel it from there, and minus 3 there. So that's now gone. So I have x minus 3 equals x minus 2 cubed. How do we get rid of a cube? We take the cube root of both sides, don't we? So take the cube root there, take the cube root here. So now we have x minus 3, take the cube root, right? Remember, this and this cancel each other out. So now we just have the x minus 2 over here. So now the last thing we have to do is add the 2, right, to both sides. So this time our f of x, which is our original function, is the cube root of x minus 3 plus 2. And is that what we have up there? It is indeed. So this checks out. So it does. This checks out. The f of x is the same function up here. So we're going to do the same thing we did a second ago. We're going to clone this, and we're going to bring this down here, maybe. So, because the answer is the same, isn't it? The inverse of f of x is equal to equals the inverse, and the inverse of the inverse equals f of x. Thus, the functions are inverses, okay? So here's our last part, and this is, we're going to prove these by composition, okay? So basically, it says what f of x is, and it says what g of x is. And so we have to do f of g of x and g of f of x for this. So the first thing we're going to do is f of g of x. So we're going to put this function, really, actually, let me show you. We're going to take this part of this function, we're going to put it in for that x right there, okay? So that means we're going to go let me erase this so I can see what I'm doing. So we're going to do, for that x up there, we're going to put 5x minus 3 squared. That's all over 5, okay? So that's where we put our x right there, right? And then that's plus 3. So notice the 5's cancel each other out, right? So then we're just looking at the square root of x minus 3 squared. So this cancels that. So we just have x minus 3 plus 3. And isn't that just equal to x? Okay, so we're going to put words there in just a minute. Now let's do the other one. Let's do g of f of x. So g of f of x. Now we're going to do that. So now we're going to take this function up here, and we're going to put it in for that x right there. So on this one, we're going to say 5 times, okay, and I'm going to put in parentheses, another set of parentheses here. This is the square root of x over 5 plus 3, okay, and then we've got a minus 3, and then we've got a squared, okay? So looking in the parentheses again, modus is plus 3 and negative 3. So that's going to give us 5 to the square root of x over 5 squared. Now what happens to that square root and that square? Again, these two cancel each other out, so this is going to be 5 times x over 5. Those 5's cancel each other out, right? So that's still going to be equal to x. So now when we talk about our explanation, so what we did up here was we evaluated the composition of f of g of x by substituting g of x in for x, in the f of x, and we got that it was equal to x. And right here, we evaluated again the composition of g of f of x by substituting g of f of x in for x for g of x. And we got x as well. So because x was the solution for both the compositions, that should be an S there, or both the composition of f of x to g of x, f of g of x and g of f of x, the functions are inverses of each other. So this is the type of description or explanation, you should write.